Hey guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like the video. It makes a huge difference for the channel. Today I was going to talk about how to buy a home in 2022. This isn't financial advice, this isn't life advice, and obviously everybody's circumstance is a little bit different and lenders are a little bit different, so I can't always speak for, I know the general rules of it all, but there are special situations, and I'm not promising you that if you meet the requirements I'm going to tell you today, that you're going to get pre-approved. So just wanted to start that off beforehand. So you've decided you're tired of renting, you're ready to buy your first home. Now, what is the very first thing you can do? I think there are two different ways you could go to start out. You could you could talk to a lender, or you could find a trusted real estate agent, talk to them, kind of get an idea of the process, and most real estate agents have a few lenders they can recommend, and this is something that's very important because lenders can, if you're not picking the right lender, if they don't really know what they're doing, they could potentially mess the deal up for you or give you false hope and say you're qualified, and come to find out you're under contract for a home, getting close to closing, and all of a sudden you find out that you're not actually qualified to buy a home. So, and you want someone that knows what they're doing and is going to fight for you when issues arise, and a lender who you have their cell phone number so you can talk to them on nights or weekends if something comes up. So with that being said, your lender is really important. So you might be better off meeting with a real estate agent first so they could recommend a lender that they use regularly. Now you can work with a bank or you can work with a mortgage lender. Usually with banks, we've noticed you tend to get a little bit better interest rate, but with lenders, we think you get a better experience. Usually mortgage lenders a lot of their income is from commission, so they want to close that deal too. Whereas banks, they're still getting paid at the end of the day whether your deal closes or not. So lenders want to work quickly, they want to work fast, they want it to close. So with that being said, so your next step, you talk to a lender. They're going to ask you for a bunch of your work history, bank statements, all that kind of stuff. So what they're going to do is figure out what type of loan you qualify for and how much you qualify for. Now, if you don't qualify, most lenders will set you up on a plan to either, boost your credit score, or say you have no credit at all. They will help set you up and get you in a position to start building your credit. They also, say you have a lot of debt, they also will work with you on a plan on how to take care of that debt to get you qualified for a loan. There's a couple different types of loans you can qualify for. There's FHA, there's VA, there's USDA, and there's a conventional loan. There is no first-time homebuyers loan. There might be, like in the state of Maine, we have something called MISHA, and that gives you, they've actually just recently upped it to $5,000 to use towards the down payment or closing costs, and that is kind of just a grant program that runs alongside your loan, and they have their own requirements as well. There are credit and income requirements for that. So with that being said, so an FHA loan, I'm sure most people have heard of that. That is the one you could have the lowest credit score with and the worst debt to income ratio and still be qualified. So, with that, your credit score can be as low as 580 to put 3.5% down on your loan. So you absolutely don't need 20% down to buy a house. And so with FHA, and you can even potentially go as low as 500 for a credit score if you put 10% down. But that is in more rare circumstances, and there are obviously other things that go into that. So yeah, so FHA, easiest loan to get pre-qualified for, and then From there you have VA, which obviously you don't have to put a down payment down, but you have to be a veteran and provide, proof in a letter from the VA to the lender. So that's obviously, that isn't something that everyone can use. And then there's a USDA loan. So a USDA loan, you do not need a down payment. The only thing is there is obviously an income limit, and your credit score has to be at least 640. And you, the house you're buying has to be in a rural area. So for Maine, in my area, there's literally like, there's a couple towns in the state of Maine, but within my area, there's only one town you can't use that loan in. So basically, that's a really good program for someone if you stay under the income requirements and your credit score is high enough. So yeah, that, I can't speak for other states. Obviously, some more populated states are gonna probably have a harder time finding a town to use that loan in, but in Maine, it's not an issue as far as location goes. And most people that come to Maine don't want to be in town, really. So, and then you have your conventional loan. So this is obviously, they're the most lenient with guidelines on the house. This type of loan looks better to sellers when you submit an offer. In some cases, you could do as little as 3% down with a conventional loan. Typically, people will do 5% down with a conventional loan, so you still don't need that that 20%. Now, you can do 20%, you could do 10%, you could put as much down as you want. And that's obviously dependent on, qualifying for that is dependent on your credit score and your debt to income. So that's just a kind of a quick overview of the loan programs that are out there. Don't take this to heart, consult a lender and see. Every lender is also a little bit different, so see what they have to say and what advice they give you. So, all right, now from there, so you're pre-qualified, you have your pre-qual letter, you're ready to go, you're ready to start looking at houses. So if this is your first time buying a home, usually at least for me, I do buyer consults, and I provide a buying process packet for them so they can kind of read over everything. And I try to have a consult and explain everything in person. So, the first step, we're going to start looking at houses. You find a house you like, and we'll submit an offer. There's a couple different things that an offer entails. So, obviously, if you're in a multiple offer situation, work with your agent. There are ways to kind of strategize to make your offer look better. It's not always, don't completely lose hope, and for me, I'm always looking to get people in the house as quickly as possible, to get in and get their offer accepted if there's no offer deadline set for multiple offers yet. So, you're ready to write an offer. You choose how much you get to offer. And typically, it's pretty standard to do an earnest money deposit when you put an offer in. So, usually we do like $1,000 earnest money. If you want to be more competitive, you could certainly bump it up to like 3%. I mean, this is a big purchase, so putting a big deposit down does, show that you're serious to a seller. With that being said, so the earnest money deposit only needs to be submitted to the brokerage if your offer is accepted, and it's, for us, I generally do 5 business days to get it into the office. And your lender is also going to want to see that earnest money deposit has left your bank account, so they're going to ask for another bank statement at some point while you're under contract to see that that money has left your bank account. And with that being said, the earnest money deposit is refundable if you pull out during your inspection period or if your financing falls through. If neither of those things are the situation, you just choose you don't want to buy a house anymore, be prepared for the sellers to potentially put up a fight for that because you are in a legally binding contract to buy this house. And you may lose your earnest money deposit if you just change your mind and decide you don't want to buy. Now, the next step is we choose a due diligence period. You know, I like to do 14 days, so it's 14 business days, really like 3 weeks. And if you want to make your offer more competitive, shorten that down. And it also really depends on what type of inspections you want. If you want the whole 9 yards, then you may want that full 14 days. If you just need to look into 1 or 2 things, then maybe only do 5 business days. And during that period, we have the chance to submit a ICA, so an investigation contingency agreement. So what this means is you can request the seller to do work. So if you found something in the inspection, you can request them to do the work. You can request funds. You can request a price reduction to make up for work that needs to be done. Or, you know, in some cases you can request, if the seller has already said they don't want to do any work to the house, you can request to do some things yourself, especially if it's something that's needed for the appraisal to pass so you can obtain financing. And you know, they're either going to say yes or no, and if they say no, you can decide at that point if you would like to move forward, if you're willing to take on the work that you found. So, you know, if it's going to be too much for you to take on, then you can back out of the deal and you know, get your earnest money deposit back and then be back in the market looking for a house. If you continue to pursue it, then you pursue it and you're out of that due diligence period, so you can no longer, you know, just back out because you don't want it. And then, you know, there's going to be stuff going on in the background to keep things moving with your lender. Your lender, once you get closer to closing, they'll require more check stubs and all that stuff. And then you'll have the appraisal. So this is where you want the value to come in at least your purchase price or higher. Unless you have a conventional loan and you're doing a larger down payment, there is some wiggle room in that, but that is definitely dependent and something you would want to check in with your lender on. So you want this to come in at the purchase price or higher, preferably higher, obviously, so you start out with some equity in the home. And the appraisal is where they will find things that may not satisfy the loan. So if you're going FHA, VA, USDA, those are all government loans, and they have requirements like no peeling, flaking paint on the exterior, so no exposed wood. You can't have a shared water source. You know, the house has to be finished. You can't have pieces of drywall missing, etc. Stuff like that. So let's say they find peeling, flaking paint on the outside of the home. They're going to condition the appraisal. So you will have to see if the seller is willing to address that, or maybe they would even let you go in and take care of the painting. So let's say you get that addressed, and you'll have to have the appraiser come out again to take pictures and approve it, and it's going to be about like $150 to $200 more to have them come out again. So that's something to think about. Now, let's say your appraisal comes in low and you don't have the funds to make up the difference. So if let's say you're under contract for $300,000 and your house appraises for $290,000, if you don't have $10,000 you would have to come up with that difference to still be able to obtain financing. If you don't have those funds, you can ask the seller to come down to $290,000, or even meet in the middle. Let's say you can give $5,000 and pay $295,000. So all those are all options. If you and the seller can't agree on something that works for both of you, you are able to back out at that point due to the appraisal not coming in correctly. So this is kind of why it's hard. Part of the reason it's hard for people financing to get offers accepted when they're offering way over asking price, especially with government loans more so, because, you know, a lot of agents look at this and are like, well, you offered 40,000 over asking, but the house, there's no way the house is going to appraise for that. So, you know, there's just all these other things that go into it. But you can certainly offer, if you have the funds, you can offer an appraisal gap guarantee. So say you would go up to $10,000 over appraised value and you can provide the funds for that. Because otherwise, if you're offering a crazy amount over asking and you're financing, it's kind of an empty promise to the seller. If that house is really priced right at, you know, the top where they think it'll appraise. So let's say you go through the appraisal, everything is good. You know, you get the clear to close and you close on your house, you get the keys. So you're going to do a final walkthrough. I try to do it the day before, the day of. Everything in the house, you know, all the appliances that you have in the contract, everything in the house has to be the same. So, you know, if there's damage to the roof all of a sudden, you know, that wasn't there when you got it inspected, and you have, you know, evidence from the inspection that the roof was in good condition at that time, you know, you can either work with the seller on that to get it fixed or back out if the house isn't up to par, if they kind of just let maintenance go by the wayside and stuff started falling apart. But, you know, assuming everything goes well, you just get to closing day and you get the keys, and that's that. So it's, you know, I talked about a lot of things in this video and a lot of things that could go wrong, but you know, a lot of times deals go smoothly and we get stuff taken care of. It sounds scary and overwhelming, but it's really, you know, if you have an agent, they're the ones that are going to be dealing with it and fighting for you during it. So you kind of just have to be the ultimate decision maker in this stuff. So, you know, it's a process, but don't let the bad things that could potentially happen scare you away, because you will get it done and you will find a house. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about any of this, drop them in the comment section below, and then eventually I will do a Q&A video to answer some questions that you have, or if there's any other content specifically that you would like to see, just let me know and we can get that going for you.